We're going to start with the supervisor's summary report. And I've been giving a little update on what we've been spending time and effort on in the town in the interim between our board meetings. And some of the things we've been focusing on are things we are going to address tonight, and that is the town resident survey. We've been working with our consultant, Betty DiMaria, who's here tonight with us to present the results of the survey. And the town board has been getting pieces of the survey results in small chunks throughout the past several weeks, and we've been talking about it. And tonight we discussed it also in our work session. Okay, now we go into the really fun part. We have a public presentation tonight of the Town of Mamaroneck Residents Survey. And as I hope everyone recalls, we conducted a survey in August and September. Actually started in July, August and September, and we asked residents to take the survey either by email or getting a written copy and handing it in. And we have with us tonight Betty DiMaria from Aras Consulting, who has been our consultant in developing the survey and who has compiled the results, and she is going to present them tonight to the public through this meeting. And also the PowerPoint presentation and results will be available on the town website. Another great reason to visit www.townofmamaroneck.org. They're really colorful, they're really interesting, some of it is really juicy, so I think that everyone will really enjoy seeing this. And the reason we did the survey, I just want to remind folks, is to help us plan our 2013 budget, which we're really starting to get into now, as well as do some medium-term and longer-term strategic planning for the community. As you know, our budgets are getting quite squeezed in municipalities, and we thought this would be a good way to truly get to know what people think are the most important aspects of our community. So I hand it over to Betty.
Thanks, Nancy. Can everyone hear me okay? I'll try to project out without the microphone. Juicy. I have to make it juicy. I don't know that I can live up to that.
No, those were the results.
Just the results. Okay. As Nancy said, I'm Betty DiMaria. I'm the CEO of Aras Performance Group, which is a consulting business based out of Troy, New York. I'm upstate. I do not live in the area or have any interest in the area, so I'm truly independent when it comes to this study and this analysis. This is a long presentation tonight because those of you who took the survey know that there are a lot of questions on it, and I am going to cover every question so that I can give you full results. So please bear with me, it's long. I'm going to move quickly through certain slides. If you have a question, something that isn't clear, please stop me, but otherwise I'm going to try to move through them. So there's a lot of material. And as Nancy said, this PowerPoint will be on the town website tomorrow, so you can download the whole thing. What I'm going to cover today is a little bit about the survey process and the methods that I used, a little bit about the response rate, and then, like I said, I'm going to go through all of the responses to all of the questions. Nancy just gave a summary of why the town board decided to conduct this survey. What I was given as an understanding was that the town board wanted to get a sense of the residents' values. And also what they envision for the future of the town. In addition, they wanted to gain input from the residents that they could use both in short-term planning, starting with next year's budget, and also for the long term. And that was the overall direction that I used in designing the survey. The survey was open from July 19th to September 10th. We conducted it electronically so that we could save money and do things a little bit more efficiently. I used a tool called SurveyMonkey. Some of you have probably heard of it. We tracked the computer IP addresses that people were using to respond so that we could make sure no one was doing any ballot stuffing, and in fact there was no evidence of any kind of ballot stuffing going on. We also made the survey available to residents on paper for anyone who did not have computer access. My firm collected and tabulated the results, and we did not share any results with the board until the survey was closed and the analysis was done. The town board took the responsibility and the staff for promoting the survey. They did so by a number of methods. Press releases, there was press coverage, they sent out emails, they did robocalls, they had town flyers around town, and of course talked about it at these board meetings. Okay, now we're getting into some of the juicy stuff. The response rate, we collected a total of 1,012 surveys based on the adult population from the last census of the town of Mamaroneck and the villages. The survey was open to residents of the town and the village of Mamaroneck and the village of Larchmont. This response was 4.8% of the adult population of the town. I am not an expert on sample size, and I won't pretend to be. I defer to the experts, and I particularly look at the authors Roger Wimmer and Joseph Dominic, two PhDs, who wrote a book called Mass Media Research. By their calculations and the algorithms that they provide, a valid sample size for this population of this area would be 645 responses. So based on that information, it's my opinion that this is a perfectly valid sample size. And that's looking at a 99% confidence level with a plus or minus 5% variation. Responses came in throughout the entire period, July through September. This just shows you the rate of response. It was consistent throughout the period. When we look at where the responses came from, the majority, 57.2%, were from the unincorporated area of the town, and we also had participation from the two villages. There were a few people who weren't quite sure where the boundary lines were or skipped the question. When we look at length of residence, most of the respondents have lived here for over 20 years. There's also a very good response from people who have lived here 6 years or longer, and 2 to 5 and less than 2 years, all were represented in the survey respondents. When we look at planned length of residence, 48.4% of the respondents said they have no plans to leave the area for the foreseeable future. 11% said 2 to 5 years, etc. So we questioned people on how long they're planning on being here. No surprise, most people work in New York City. There's also a sizable percent of the respondents who are retired, work elsewhere in Westchester County, work in the local town villages, or stay at home, homemakers or parents. Small number of unemployed and in school among the respondents. As far as ages go, the majority of the respondents were between the ages of 45 to 54. We had good representation of the adult population, including the older population, and a few of the young adults answered the survey as well. Gender, the majority of the people who responded to the survey were female, and almost 20% of the people identified themselves, filled out their names and addresses and email addresses on the survey, which in my experience is a very good number, high response. Okay, these charts are going to be really hard to see. I apologize because I wanted to include all of the data. So again, you'll be able to download this from the website tomorrow and really take a closer look. I want to highlight a few things about each question, getting at, again, people's vision and values. We asked residents why they live in the town, and the top line up here, 76.3% of the respondents live here because of the proximity to New York State. To New York City, sorry, New York City. The next most popular reason, I'm sorry, back one. There we go, the schools are the second most popular reason, 61.5%. Community character, 57.8%. And the low crime rate, which is 51.2%. And they're ranked all the way down through good fishing is the last one, 2.2%. We asked people what they would like to see the town be like by 2025, so we're asking them to think out into the future. 42.3% of the respondents said better known as a great place to live. 41.2% cleaner and greener. 40.9% a leader in environmental responsibility. The least favored of the options we gave were to be more cosmopolitan, a tourist stopover to New York City, or a tourist destination. Low interest in those. Looking at services in general and living conditions, what people would like. The number on response, 54.7% of the respondents would like government to improve living conditions by reducing flooding risks. That was the highest there, followed by helping older residents afford to live here.
Betty, did you point out a lot of these were questions that you could put multiple answers, and obviously that's why
Yes.
you got to.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Abby. Yes, people could choose more than one of these. I thought it was interesting that less than 10% want things to, said things are fine the way they are. In terms of transportation, 33.1% of the people would like more parking near shopping areas, followed by a local shuttle service, more parking near the train. On these charts, for the next set of questions, we asked people to select whether they wanted more, the same amount, or less of certain things. So these are a little hard to read. The orange bar are the number of people who wanted more of something. Blue is the same amount. This purplish color is less, and orange or red, no opinion. So again, when you download these, you'll really be able to look at them a lot closer. The majority opinions here were that most respondents would like the number of single-family homes to remain the same and the number of nursing homes to remain the same. Most respondents also replied that they live in a single-family home. When we asked about recreation, most people said they would like more biking and walking trails. Again, this is hard to read. Bike lanes on the roads and walking and biking trails really stood out here. There were a lot of comments and a lot of requests for the area to be more bike friendly and more pedestrian friendly.
Could you just read out the top one too, please?
This one?
Yeah.
Access to Long Island Sound.
Thank you.
Yes.
But she doesn't have it.
And they would like the same amount. The blue lines show what people would like the same amount of access to theaters, the conservation areas, parks, sports teams to join, and activities for young children. Those people were satisfied with. Asking about the type of services in the town, most respondents would like more small local retailers. That is here, the orange line, more of that. More outdoor dining, the orange line there, more restaurants. They're satisfied with the number. They'd like to see the same number of grocery stores, spa and fitness studios, coffee shops, bars and taverns, antique shops, medical facilities, restaurants, specialty stores, and variety stores. Over 35% of the respondents said they would like fewer chain and national retailers. That's this line right here that shows less of those. Okay, getting into the area of finance and taxation. We asked, this is another one where we asked respondents to choose more than one answer. We asked them how they would like the town to handle the growing financial pressures. The number one answer, 55.2% of respondents said they would like the town to pursue alternate forms of energy, wind, solar, etc. Over 30% would like the town to pursue partnerships with private entities and to reduce garbage collection to 1 time per week. 34.3% of the respondents chose that option. The least favorite options here were to charge for sewer based on actual use, 13.6% of the respondents charge for fire department services based on actual use, and encourage tourism. And the rest fall within the middle there. An interesting point here. We asked people whether they would like to maintain existing services, even if it meant going above the property levy tax cap of 2%, or if they would like to reduce services and stay within the property tax levy cap of 2%. Again, everyone didn't have to answer those. They could have chosen a different question. But on that question of the 2% property tax cap, it was very close. 32.8% of the respondents said maintain the existing services even if we have to pay more taxes. 29.9% said reduce services and stay within the 2% tax cap. So with that being so close and such a critical issue for the town, we really wanted to delve into that a little more. So I took those two answers and broke them down and did some cross-tabulation. And I looked at just the residents of the unincorporated area of the town for this. I took out the people who live in the villages because the town residents receive most of the town services. And just for ease of talking about this, I labeled them the green group and the red group. The green group being the respondents who are saying maintain services even if it means higher taxation. The red group being the group that said reduce services and keep the taxes low. So just for ease of talking about it. And some interesting differences emerged comparing the green group to the red group. The green group, more people in the green group said that they live in the town because of the sense of security, the low crime rate, the government services, the community character, and the schools. More of the green group want the town to stay just as it is, be better known as a great place to live, and be a leader in environmental responsibility. And more people in that group also would like the town, again, to keep things the way they are, improve traffic, reduce flooding risks, promote greener and cleaner living. So looking for more services. In contrast, more of the people in the red group live in the town because of the access to the sound. More of them would like the town to pursue partnerships with private entities and to reduce garbage collection to 1 time a week, presumably as a tax-saving measure. More people in the green group would like to see more parking and a local shuttle service. When asked about collaboration between the town and the 2 villages, more of them would like things to stay the way they are. More of them would like police services to be provided by the town of Mamaroneck, and more of them would like to see fire services provided by the town. In contrast, more of the people in the red group would like a police force shared among the town and the villages, and a fire department shared among the town and villages. So it was interesting to break things down by those 2 groups. The people in the green group have lived in the town longer and plan to live in the town longer than the people in the red group. More of them are 65 or older, or 54 or younger, and more of the people in the red group are between this 55 and 64 age range, and more of the people in the green group are men. So lots of things to think about on those differences. When we asked about collaboration, getting back to the overall pool of respondents now, everyone who responded from the town and the 2 villages, 56.5% of the respondents said they would like the 3 governments to share more functions without commissioning an impact study. 53% said they would like to know which services are currently shared. So that information apparently isn't well known. 14.1% said they would like things to remain as they are. When we look specifically on collaboration among police services, 34.9% of all respondents said they would like to see a police force shared among the 3 entities. The next most favored options, on this one we only gave people had to choose 1. They couldn't choose more than 1. The next most favored option was to have police services provided by whoever could provide them most efficiently, followed by whoever can respond the fastest, followed by the town of Mamaroneck. Looking at fire, pretty similar results. Most of the respondents, 32.9%, would like to see a fire department shared among the 3 entities, followed by whoever can respond to a situation the fastest, followed by whoever can provide current services the most efficiently. I broke down all of the responses by the person's place of residence, whether they lived in the unincorporated area of the town of Mamaroneck, the village of Mamaroneck, or the village of Larchmont. And the board has all the graphs. It's interesting how similar the responses were. There was not variation based on where a person lived, with 2 exceptions regarding collaboration on the police and fire services. These graphs are a little hard to understand. The question was, I would like my police services provided by. Here's the response from the village of Larchmont residents, village of Mamaroneck residents, and the unincorporated area residents. And the choices are across the bottom here. The difference here, the village of Mamaroneck residents and unincorporated area residents, the majority of those respondents said they'd like to see a police force shared among the 3 entities. 30% of the village of Larchmont residents said they would like them provided by whoever could provide them most efficiently. So we saw a little variation there. Very similar thing on the fire services. Residents of the village of Mamaroneck and the unincorporated area, the majority would like to see a fire department shared among the 3 entities, whereas more people in the village of Larchmont would want to see them provided by whoever can respond the fastest, followed by next closest response is a shared department. Do those graphs make sense? Because they're a little hard to understand. Okay. Regarding interaction with government, we asked residents how they would like to hear, how they like to communicate with their town officials. Number 1 response, over 75%, is by email, followed by automated phone calls for emergencies, followed by the town website. I thought it was pretty interesting here that traditional media, newspapers, TV, radio stations, other websites besides the towns, was just 8.3%. People are looking for electronic and automated access. In terms of how residents, the respondents, would like to have access and input to the town, 41% of the respondents would like to have town hall meetings in which residents participate, followed by more publicity of the meetings that are going on, followed by surveys. And they go down from here. Almost 11% said this wasn't important to them. Not the people that are here, clearly. Open-ended comments. We gave people the opportunity to put comments on almost every question, and we also asked a very open-ended question about other suggestions you have for the town. There were 1,468 open-ended comments across the surveys. In my experience, there were a lot more than I expected to see, especially in their character. They were very specific, they were very detailed, some of them were quite passionate. They were long, we gave people lots of room to type. So to me that said that the residents who took the survey were quite engaged in it and really wanted the town to hear what they had to say. I attempted to tabulate the open-ended comments. This is not scientific. This used my own judgment on how to group those comments into like areas. And also I counted all the comments. So you need to know that if someone said they would like to see their taxes lowered 5 times, they're in this count 5 times. So this is just to give the board an overall look at the common themes that came up in the comments. Again, this is not to be taken beyond that. 249 comments asked for government to be reduced or consolidated. 120 talked about lowering taxes. Those were the 2 biggest. From there, it goes down to improving retail or small business, improving parking, the bicycling. Bicycling came up a lot. Maintaining or improving the community character, reducing services, modifying services, or privatizing services, maintaining or improving schools, recreation, housing, charging for certain services, and up here, the 20s. Again, these were just what people took the time to type in themselves. Improving sidewalks, traffic, roads, facilitating walking, retaining services, maintaining or improving safety and security, and improving water access. So again, just what people chose to type in. After I took the time to really digest this and think about it, the question that struck me the most was the split on taxes, services versus taxes. And I think one of the big things, one of the big questions facing government at this point is that there are a significant number of residents here who would like things to remain as they are. They would like services to be maintained or even enhanced, and they're willing to pay for that. They're okay with taxes going above 2% if they get those things. In contrast, there's a significant number of residents as well who would like to see government consolidated or reduced, would like to see services decreased, and want their taxes stabilized or reduced. So the big question for this government to look at is what is that balance of services and taxes when you have these different people with different visions, different goals, and different economic issues in their own lives. So there is that split within the resident base based on this survey. That's a big question. What questions can I answer for you or anyone on the board? Yes?
What portion of your responses were on paper as compared to by email?
29 came in on paper, 983 electronic.
So you don't think that your result of people wanting electronic communications is closely tied to the fact that this was an electronic communication and people responded to you as an electronic communication? Because the problem I had with the survey, which I responded to when Jane told me to, is that it missed an awful lot of people, and it should have been done on paper. It should have been mailed to everybody, and it should have come back that way with the option to do it electronically if somebody wanted to, or give them a choice. To me, it is totally skewed, the answer. First of all, you get a certain group of people who will do things online, who won't do, and other people will not unless it's on a piece of paper. Second of all, you leave out a bunch of people. I know a bunch of people. I have 3 computers. I know plenty of people who have none, who live in this town, who obviously were never even invited, didn't know about this for practical purposes. If they received it in the mail, it would have been a different ballgame. And to me, the one that was most off is the idea that people want to be communicated with by email, because that was basically a skewed question because of the way it was asked, by email. So I just think that to get more participation, one has to deal with people in a way that everybody in the town is invited to participate. One of the things that you did say is people want to know more about what's going on. And one of the ways to do that is to directly contact people. That's just, that's just my comment on this. Other than that, I think, it's a great show.
You make a very valid point that the people who filled out the survey, most of them used email and electronic means. I was consulted about this when I first started working with the town, and it was a matter of efficiency and cost so that we could keep the costs down. I know the board did look at the cost of doing the mailing, and maybe some of the board members or staff could speak about this. They made a concerted effort to go out into the senior centers to distribute postcard flyers. There were signs around town. There were a lot of avenues of communication. It was in the local newspapers. They did everything they could to get the word out. They did the phone call. They did an automated phone call. And actually I was watching the results as they came in, the numbers of results, And after Supervisor Seligson made the automated phone call to all of the residents, it really spiked. So people did respond to that phone call. So I know that the board and the staff did make every effort to get the word out. But yes, you make a valid point.
Jane, I think Jane wanted to respond to that. Okay. We'll go there. And Ernie?
Just to back up what Betty said, while we did have the survey online, we went to public events and distributed cards to the senior center and told people that if they wanted paper surveys, we would provide them to them, either at the supervisor's office, at both libraries, and at the senior center. So we did, and in the newspapers it said that as well, so we did offer the option of a paper survey. It wasn't that we mailed it to everybody's house, correct, but we definitely made it known that people could answer the survey by paper.
And it wasn't sent electronically. I mean, the notification, people didn't receive it as an email to do the survey.
You know, like the
To
card.
complete the survey, you went online, but it's not just the people who have internet that were invited to do the survey.
2000.
Is that,
No.
am I saying that? Can't hear you.
No, it's correct, though.
Yeah.
It was, there was actually, verbal and written requests to do the
You
survey.
know, like Ernie and I went to the train station one morning and handed out cards to all the commuters.
Actually, a good follow.
And in the card, it said how you could get the survey either online or in paper form. So we did try.
The main reason was this bid.
And I don't know why it wasn't done.
Because of the money.
Yeah, the cost.
Very simple, the cost.
Yeah.
No,
It
he's
would have been
saying
probably
handout.
4 times as much as we spent, or more, to do it all by mail. It's probably a 10-page document to go out, plus you put postage on it to come back, or do you leave it to the resident to pay the postage? It would have been a much more expensive thing. Was there, what I was going to ask, was there any kind of a difference you could ascertain from the 29 written responses as compared to
That's a good question.
the electronic responses?
I did not look at those separately from the others.
Any other comments from the audience? Okay, I wanted to thank Betty, of course, for being here tonight and making the presentation, and to remind everyone that this information will be on the town website, and that we are going to use this information going forward. We're going to identify areas that we think are the most interesting from a response perspective, to move forward and start to investigate whether we can move forward, what the cost would be, what the logistics would be of moving forward on some of these, and also to really take a look at it and see if we can have some impacts in planning our 2013 budget by some of the responses we got in regard to services. So we think it's really going to be helpful. It certainly gives us a sense of what these folks are thinking and feeling about the town, and that was really helpful. I think they also gives us a sense of the crossover in the 3 municipalities. Many people commented about lots of things in the other municipalities, even though it was a town survey. And that was interesting to us, and I think will be helpful for us to share with the village of Larchmont and the village of Mamaroneck, and bring us together so that we can talk about the responses among all 3 municipalities. So we will be following up, and we will be letting you know and reporting at town board meetings how we're continuing to use the survey.
I guess if people feel strongly that they still want to be heard, here we are.
It's true. We're an open government. We're happy to hear from you. But we want to thank everyone who participated in it also. It really was a helpful exercise for us.
Now we have to use it.
Yeah,
Put to
now
work.
we're going to use it. Okay. Thank you, Betty.